And it's Wednesday, and that means that it's time for a house call with Dr. Elaine Chin. So last week, we looked at understanding the impact menopause has on women. But for nearly 1 billion men, they go through something very similar. It's called andropause. So that is our topic of conversation this morning. Dr. Chin, good morning. Thank you very much for being with us today. So we have to talk about this. What are some of the facts? Andropause seeming to start to hit men at the age of 40. I've never heard of this before.
Well, most people like to call it male menopause, but it really isn't, because unlike women, men gradually have their testosterone drop about 1% per year around the age of 40, whereas women kind of in a couple of years drop their estrogen levels significantly. So they start to sometimes get symptoms, but they may not notice it.
Okay, so I know that there are some expensive tests out there for it. We were just chatting about that. What sort of signs or symptoms should men look out for?
Okay, so the common ones that they come in to see me for, they'll start with this very subtle, I can't get jacked. I'm going to the gym, and I used to be able to lift X, and I can't. And then I'll ask another less subtle question, which is, are you having sexual dysfunction or loss of sex drive? Those are really common as a part of andropause. And then some people also are having hot flashes and night sweats and breast tenderness because it's an imbalance of the testosterone against the estrogen.
Okay, so that's, those are the symptoms, but does that also correlate with how to determine, like, when someone's actually going through it?
Yeah, it's very difficult to figure it out because sometimes it's very subtle because it's fatigue, and then there's memory loss and sleep disturbances, which we all kind of go through because of different reasons. So one of the best things to determine what to do is to get tested. I know you mentioned some of the tests, but quite frankly, some of it can be done with blood work and not with saliva testing, so it's not that expensive. So we should definitely test testosterone, and there's different versions of it, total, free, and bioavailable testosterone. The latter is the one I like to use because it's what's available. And then you should measure DHEA, because DHEA goes into making testosterone, and then estrogen, because all of a sudden sometimes guys get their estrogens higher than their testosterone, then they start feeling that breast tenderness.
Okay, so now we have to talk about support, and then also, ways to reverse this.
Right, so obviously you haven't had the privilege of me talking about sleep, but that's important. But also watching those carbs, because as you age, regardless of andropause. Carbs, you gain weight, right? Now, the single most important thing that I tell guys to do, and it does work, is to get back into the gym, or whether it's down the basement or actually go. And you got to start with aerobic exercises, so it's like a high intensity interval training, followed by doing some weights. They don't have to be mega heavy, but when you do those in combination, your testosterone does improve because your body goes, hey, I need to bulk up. And so you need to do both of those. And last but not least, there is testosterone replacement therapy. And we should make sure, I know you just had your checkup, good for you. Guys seem to not like to do that, but you should. And make sure you're healthy, because it's contraindicated in people with prostate or breast cancer. And sometimes when you've had a stroke or a heart attack, it may be contraindicated because it can slightly increase your risk of getting clots.
What about diet? Can diet affect it?
Well, I would say that if guys stop eating protein, that also impacts your ability to make hormones. So when you're on a vegan diet, that's not that it's unhealthy. You got to make sure that you get the good amounts of protein from plant sources.
Okay, and so now we've just learned about andropause. What are your final words to everyone?
Well, if you're having these problems, talk to your doctor. Just like women with menopause, there's a fear to talk about it. So let's talk about it. So this morning, Bill's away again, so so here we are. Thanks for taking me in.
Hey, thank you, because, I'm turning 43 here in a few days, so.
Yeah, you should post up that Jack picture that you have, that you just showed me.
Hashtag goals, right?
Yes.
We got to get back there. There's Bill laughing off camera. Again, Dr. Chin talking with us about andropause. You're watching CP24 Breakfast. We're back after this. Well, actually, before we go back, this is a perfect time to bring in Bill, but we're not going to. Bill, you have to come over here, Bill, because Dr. Chin was talking about this.
I was pumping my muscles back there. I don't know if I can do it on the end of the desk.
No.
I want to see this.
Yeah, so Bill, this is a big thing that we were, just talking about. And, the other thing about it is, not actually having that conversation. And this is what Dr. Chin is saying we need to talk about.
I listen to Dr. Chin all the time. We have conversations. She helped me through the dry February, and I completely agree with this because when I started going back to the gym regularly after a break on Christmas where I felt like I was ballooning, everything just started to kind of pick up. So
Yeah, and with that, Bill, thank you very much for sharing.